Welcome, friends and family. Super excited to be here with you today as me and my good friend, our sales coach, Kenneth Cope, and I go through how to win friends and influence people. Guys, we all know that there's one thing that's never going to go out of style, and that's how to get along and better work with people. You know, we've all heard the Bible verse, you can cut more wood with a sharp axe than you can a dull one. And I think, honestly, most of us don't come into people's situations overly sharp. And even for those that are pretty sharp, it's just good to continue to be sharpened. So that's what Casey and I are here to do today, is just to continue to sharpen each other and hopefully share some motivational teaching from the great Dale Carnegie with our friends and those that are listening today. So now, Casey, the safety valve in handling complaints. What did you get out of chapter 6? The safety valve of handling complaints.
Well, you know, this is an interesting chapter, and it's mentioned in this book in a different way in a prior chapter as well. I can't remember the title of that one, but the safety valve in handling complaints is don't be the one doing the talking, be the one doing the listening. Um, how often is it? And I'm guilty of it. I'm 100% guilty of it. Somebody starts giving you a complaint, they start talking, you hear something that you disagree with, or you hear something that you know to be a little bit untruthful, and you want to hold up now, stop right there, and you cut them off, and then you just made it that much worse because now you didn't respect them enough to let them get their full out of it. And, so the safety valve in handling complaints is let the other person do the talking and keep your head cool.
And what a great summary of the whole chapter. And again, these chapters are generally full of just everyday common sense that we got to admit, if we're being honest, as KC chose to be. A lot of times we don't. We just kind of get lost in the weeds and forget to truly listen and hear the other person out.
Yeah.
Casey, when you think of a good listener or somebody who is, you would say is probably decent at this in your life, who have you seen that you feel does a good job of?
Oh, that's a great question. I feel like you and Lindsay both are good at that. I feel like Duke is very good at that. In my immediate vicinity, that's, my day-to-day work basis, that's, I think y'all three are all really good at that. It's a talent to go through that. And I don't know that I guess some people have it natural, but I think for the most part, it's a learned thing. It's a conscious effort to be that listener, to be that to have that patience, to just be in the moment. One thing I'm bad for, I'm a high solutions driven person. I'm going to find a way to figure it out one way or another. And it may be a very unconventional way, but we're going to figure out how to do this. Just like our which we've got a new one now, but our old dryer, we went to go turn the dial knob on it to start a load drying, and the timer knob broke off of it. The part that switches the actual mechanism turning on just snapped right off of there. And, obviously it takes, a week or so to get the part in because it's not, you can't just run to Lowe's and get it. And so I just took a drill bit and a bolt and just ran it down through there, bolted it in, and then so you just had a screwdriver and you just use the screwdriver to turn it. Worked just like a charm, which we've gotten a new one since then. But I'm going to find a solution to that. But the downside of being solutions driven is when somebody's bringing up an issue or bringing up something, I'm so eager to try to get it solved. I usually don't listen to the full thing. I'm like, well, you could do this, or you could do this.
You done fixed it 3 times.
Yeah. And sometimes they don't want to fix it, or maybe they already have, and they just wanted to share.
That's good. It reminds me of, and thank you for saying that. Definitely feel like it is more learned. In the disc, I'm a higher I, and a lot of times I get excited and just keep talking. My dad was a good example to me of somebody that chose to ask questions and listen really well. I remember one time years ago, he went to I want to say Rock Island Shores was the name of the neighborhood, and it was a higher end neighborhood. And my dad did paving and tree work growing up, so you would want to be in this neighborhood. You'd want to pave driveways in this neighborhood, and Dad come back. He talked about Mr. Larry and what all the stories they had talked about, and Dad just went on sharing with me a lot about what this gentleman had told him. And afterwards, I said, "Well, man, it's great, Dad." I said, "You think you got the job?" And he said, "Oh no." He said, "Nope, I'd never work with that guy." I said, "Really? And why not?" And he said, "No, he'd be too hard to please." He said, "You're not going to please a guy like this." And so I learned there that he asked enough questions to figure that out. But more importantly, his he knew that the effort and the work that he would do would not be appreciated. So he separated himself, but he did it in such a kind way that he didn't get the complaints. The shame is the next guy that come and did get the job, the gentleman took him to court not once but twice. So it we can be too eager sometimes and just rush right in and make and what I've seen with Dad, and he showed me that patience and asking questions. You can learn a lot that way. You show me that very regular. You ask a lot of questions. I think the education background that you come from, and maybe your mom and dad, but somewhere along the line, you learn the value of asking questions, and when you do that with an ear to hear, you can learn a lot, right?
Yeah, and it's knowing the right questions to ask is a big thing too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I think for me it's understanding the why you ask a question. So you'll you've experienced it several times, and those of you that know me personally have experienced this at some point in time in our conversations, I'm sure. Um, but you'll see me kind of pause and really kind of just maybe even squint my eyes sometimes and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of
Mm-hmm.
think. And that's because I'm trying to figure out maybe what's the right question to ask to kind of get out what we need to get out and then
Mm-hmm.
and go forward and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So um, I think and it's knowing the why you're asking the question that you're asking, right? It's well, same thing we was just talking about out here. If if you go to a doctor and he asks you what's wrong with your car, you got some questions.
Right. And if he
Because
don't ask you what's wrong with you,
yeah,
you've got some questions, right?
yeah,
Like a good
you
doctor is
know.
going to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, or if you go to a mechanic and they ask you how your blood sugar's doing, which if they're a friend, okay, maybe that makes sense, but
Mm,
you get what I'm trying to say with
right.
that.
Right. Question at the
Um,
right place at the right time.
yeah,
Mhm.
um, so I think understanding that is a big part of it. But questions are fantastic,
Mhm.
man, and it is so much better than an answer, and it will drive people crazy when you get into that mindset because as a culture, overall, we're used to getting the information. If we
Mhm.
got a question, hey Google, what's
Mhm.
this? Hey
Mhm.
Siri, what's this?
Mhm.
And we're just used to getting that answer.
Yeah.
And when you come across somebody that won't give you that answer but makes you think through the answer, it can be a little aggravating
And that's what
sometimes.
a good teacher will do. That's what a good teacher will do. They'll ask good questions that will bring about good answers. And you got to be willing to listen, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't ask those questions and not be willing to take a moment to hear what they say. And if they say the wrong thing, then, like you said, I see you study for a minute, you think about it, then you try to ask another question that will help them uncover
Hmm.
what they need to uncover a lot of times instead of
Hmm.
just quickly saying, no, this is the answer. So, yes, you are very solutions driven. I would agree with that. However, at 33 or 4, you're very mature in the fact that you will ask questions to try to bring out the best answers. And if you're saying they're not giving it, you don't always just give them the answer. You keep working at it. I think that makes a great coach, great teacher, man.
Most,
Mm-hmm.
well, I greatly appreciate the accolades on that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all learned from people I've been around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's not a me thing, and I do believe that the books we've been through since I've been with you
Mm-hmm.
have played a part in that too. I'd
Mm-hmm.
be amiss
Oh yeah.
if I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
accommodate some of that.
Some of the great
And
literature that we're going through now and have been going through. And another person that comes to my mind that I feel like is a phenomenal listener is Renee Cooper, our closing coordinator. That's a lady that you could walk in there and just say whatever you felt like saying and just unload your wagon. She's going to sit there and listen and ask questions. That is, and I think that's what makes great friends. Another thing is that Renee's in a position where contract to close, there can be a lot of issues that come up and problems, and people can call at this point very scared, very upset. And somebody like Renee, she's not going to return fire.
Right.
She's going to sit there and listen and try to work out the problem, maybe ask a question or two. She's learning, just, phenomenal lady. But, just to ask a few questions to help them maybe uncover it versus sometimes, unfortunately, when people are a little aggressive, sometimes you just kind of got to cover up, let them get everything out they want to get out, and then move on from there. But, being able to handle complaints when people are a little upset and having that ability to just listen to them, not ignore them, not to act like that problem ain't real.
Right.
That's a gift.
It's a it's a different mindset from somebody when they determine what they need to know, or if they determine that they're maybe have messed something up or something. If they discover it on their own, you can get past that a lot easier. But if you're the one telling them, man, there's a pride there that can cause a lot of issues depending on what kind of culture you're in. It 100% can. And asking those questions and getting them to see, and even, when you see that light bulb go off, not even pointing it out, just when you see that light bulb go off, just be like, so we're on the same page? Yes. Okay. And then you're good. There's, you don't have to be like, see, you finally get it.
Yeah. Yes.
About time.
Yeah.
Of course, depending on the situation who I'm talking to, I might say something.
Yeah.
But I guess the concept is there of if you can get them to uncover it. And again, that comes with not over talking, man. It comes with not talking yourself out of it. Again, I'm a clerical. I talk too much. I've already talked too much, even in this. But
it comes natural. It comes a little more natural in the disc profile if you're clerical to tell you everything we know.
Yeah.
And but man, you're multi-talented. There isn't much you couldn't do, and we're glad to be learning from you and the value you're adding to us. And
I appreciate the book. This is truly a good book, and I'm not a reader. I will not classify myself as a reader, but this truly is a good book.
Amen.
Lacey asked me in her college class she's in right now. They mentioned like one of the assignments about what book would you recommend to just anybody and everybody else. And she'd asked me what my thoughts were on that. Man, this is it.
Interesting. I sat down and spoke with a gentleman named Andy. He's a lender last week, and we actually sat right here in this room. And of course I've got this book sitting right here, and he says, that's a great book. I said, yeah. Me and my friend KC, we're going through this on YouTube, just kind of walking through it, the process. He said that book is the book that our company has chose to read this quarter, and they put some kind of challenge on it, a reading challenge to get people to go through it. So, hey man, old book, but never goes out of style.
No, these concepts are solid because they're common sense.
Yes. Yes.
And it's learned common sense.
Yeah.
This is not natural human emotion. We're in the animal kingdom, and a lot of times it is dog eat dog, and it is me over you, and it's that. So this is a sophisticated way of thinking,
a healthier culture and a civilized culture.
Yes,
and the way it should be. And when it ain't going this way, there's going to be problems. Guess what? Not just in everyday life, but in your marriage, with your family. It hits home when you don't operate in these principles. And again, for a lot of people, these may be foreign principles. If you grew up in my family, high-blooded Italians, there's a lot of pride, a lot of ego. You didn't let people walk on you. So, not to say that you do let people walk on you, but you learn how to handle things civilly and not just trying to push over people.
Yep.
That's barbaric.
Yep.
Yeah. Love you, KC. Thank you guys for joining us. If we can do anything to help you in any way, please let us know. Thank you.